Let's call this meeting to order. And could I have a motion to approve the minutes of October 3rd?
I will move that.
Well, I'll second it, even though I wasn't here. Can I vote on those minutes, even though I wasn't here at the meeting? I suppose I could take
I
my...
don't think you can.
It wouldn't seem like I could.
We'd have to maybe table it until
Yeah, till the next
week. But the warrants 8P and RB3, would there be a motion to approve those?
Well, I'll move we approve warrants 8P, and RB3.
I'll second it. And we'll take turns doing
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Any public comments? Chance? No? All right. Well, the Recreation Board.
I was just curious, well, I didn't know, are you going to talk about, the main, only reason I'm interested is on the Brextus thing? Is that something that's going to come up later, or is that?
It's on the end.
Yeah, under correspondence for discussion or action.
Yeah.
So it's on the agenda, but we're going piece by piece here. So the stipend for the basketball coordinator. Are you going to talk to us about that?
Do I sit right here?
No, come right up. Very friendly. Tell us about
I'm
it.
Jill Williams. We have, for the past 2 years, not been successful in getting a basketball program going because, again, it's volunteer parents, and the competition is pretty stiff with Brattleboro Rec, which is very organized for all grades. But I had a parent call me the other day. She called Joe Carroll, and Joe Carroll suggested she call me. Her name's Leah Douglas. She has coached basketball before. She has played basketball, and she's very interested in getting a program going and putting Dummerston on the map with basketball. And she didn't really ask for a stipend, but said it would be nice. And I just feel like, unlike the other sports where they're all volunteer parents, and there's a definite footprint, that's laid out there to follow in terms of who we play, the protocol, the registration, everything. This is kind of this is basically creating a program. Leah has offered to take grades 1 through 3, and we only get the gym on Saturdays, which again I think makes it hard for us to be competitive with other basketball programs that have a little more rigor to their practices and to their games. So we only get the gym on Saturdays, and so she's proposing a clinic, basically skills and perhaps scrimmages for grades 1 through 3, and skills, and then getting a schedule with other towns for grades 4 and 5. The usual towns that we play in soccer and baseball, and season running end of October through roughly February. And so I called Lori, and Lori said come in, and wondered if we could offer her a stipend this year and see how it goes of, I think 200 for her. So I think we offered someone 150 a couple of years ago, so Right. I was wondering if we could do 200, since she's offering to spend her whole Saturday mornings
And
to run these.
how are we doing on your budget so far this year?
Great.
Joe? Yeah.
I couldn't give you numbers, but great. With soccer and baseball registrations and not needing so much, and
You feel this is good use, is that?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's worth giving it a go. I guess we used to, this is just my 3rd year in Dummerston as a parent and a family, but I guess we used to have something more solid, other parents recall. So I think it's worth giving it a go. I like her initiative. She's got plans. She sees the whole picture. Like, this is good for the kids. This is good for skill building, to see if kids want to go on and play. We do have middle school that starts at 6th grade, sometimes 5th graders can play, but this gives kids, I think, I co-coached it once with Brattleboro Rec. It's probably the hardest of the sports to coach just because it's indoors, the acoustics are tough. It's hard for kids to hold the ball still. I think it's great. She seems really, really excited to do it. So she's going to try and recruit some other parent volunteers and see how it goes.
Is this different than the program that's with Putney, or the program with Putney isn't for this younger student?
This
Might
would,
think of something totally
I
different.
don't know about Putney's. She did coach for Putney 7th and 8th, so she has coached kids before, and she has a first grader. But I'm not aware of the Putney program. This is strictly Dummerston, and maybe we will play Putney with the 4th and 5th graders, which we've always considered our sister school. So
I move that we allow Jill to do what she thinks is right with the new coach.
Yeah, I'll second it.
great,
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
awesome. Thank you. We have basketballs. I think it'll be very low maintenance cost-wise, and I think it's just a nice gesture for Leah. We'll see where it goes.
Great.
And I wanted to just put my hockey board hat on. I don't know if word got to the rec board through Marianne Runge and the school that the Dummerston kids this year are having their fees waived for Brattleboro hockey. And now that soccer's breaking up, it's going to be wrapping up. If you know of any kids who might be interested in hockey, all Dummerston kids are, the $400 registration fee is being waived.
Okay.
And Learn to Skate novices are free programs anyway. But then the mites and squirts, which is like first grade through 3rd grade, or through 4th grade.
Has that gone out in a newsletter?
Well, you know, it did early. It was in like the beginning of the year packet.
Okay.
And I spoke with Marianne, and she was going to get to it. And also, oh God, I hate getting old. First grade teacher, Wilson, help me. Thank you. Holy smokes, it's getting bad. I told her about it. She was going to spread the word around.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's significant.
I think I dropped the ball if I didn't get word to you
Was it
directly.
waived to other towns too?
No, just Dummerston.
Wonder why.
We have a couple angels on the board who've decided that we need Dummerston kids in the program.
Yeah, I have 2 boys that would love to play hockey. I don't know why that would, maybe because Dummerston's so ensconced in soccer, and I don't know.
It's a problem with a lot of the schools because soccer is big, with all the kids. Some kids try to do both, but it's hard. And Dummerston being such a small school, there's like no one left over for hockey, I think is part of what it is. But it's never too late to sign up, and the season goes into March, so it's not like they'd be coming very late to the party.
So this is for the mites, which is what
Well,
age?
now it's basically all grades at Dummerston School. It would cover, there's a program for every age.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that's registration, but then there's also a tuition or something, isn't there?
Yeah, it's it varies from program to program. It's $100, $150 depending on the program. You know what? I don't want to take up any time here, more time here with it, but can I call you? And I think I need to get a flyer in your hands.
Yeah.
I apologize to the board for taking up time with that.
It's Jill Williams, 380-2971. Does Ben play?
Leo.
Oh, Leo.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Sure.
thanks very
Thank
much.
you for
Good
the
luck with the
approval.
basketball
Okay,
program.
thanks. Good night.
Thank you.
All right, Renault gravel pit update.
We got the decision back from the DRB, and we were approved. Essentially, the only outstanding item that I spoke to Lou about it. I had a different meeting with him today. Is the fence requirement, that they want, they asked for a fence, 6-foot high security fence, go from the east, the west side, ABF trucking all the way over to the Route 9 corridor. And so there's some,
Route 91.
what did I say?
No,
It's hopeless. They're just checking into a home after tonight. We need to sit down with Mike and see what that means, because is this a fence that has to be put up and moved as this thing goes along? Will it restrict access to Mike's land, for people who want to walk around from the campground? It's a little bit unclear, and also the necessity of it is a little bit, there's been a gravel pit there next to the campground for 100 years or whatever long they've all been there, and there has not been an incident, so there's some question as to that one item. But since it's not a fence that has to go up right away, we thought rather than do some sort of formal appeal process, we can just wait till our 1-year review and talk about it with them then, because it won't be built before then. So anyway, but that's the only sort of thing outstanding of all of that I've heard any comment on that we might want to question or see if we could get clarified at least.
What was, Corey had sent a letter out, and we referred to a fee.
Oh yeah, thank you. The Act 250 sort of arbitrarily changed their fee structure, and it thanks, and it I don't remember the numbers anymore, but it's not nothing. It's going to increase our share of it from from what was going to be $2,000 to something like $5,000 or $6,000. We were told earlier in the summer that that we would be grandfathered in on the old fee structure, and then they just changed their minds about that. So so long after we started set our budget, this happened. That the Act 250 hearing should be scheduled. I expect to get word of it any day, and we hope to get it early November, perhaps get a decision by mid-December, depending on how the weather is, whether they're going to want to try to build a road in there or not this winter is yet to be seen, but we should be in good shape. There is two things, I mentioned at the last meeting I was at, that we needed to go back to our lease with Mike Renault and make an adjustment to clarify the language about where the town's area of liability lies. It's, according to the lease document, it appears as though we're leasing the entire Hidden Acres property, which would make us, liable for the campground, which was never the intent. It's just a matter of changing some language. Everyone agrees that we're not to be responsible for that. So I was going to ask Bob Fisher to explore some language that clarified that it's only for the mining operation, the area. Again, I'm struggling for language because that's why we're going to go find a lawyer who can do it. And then the other item that we need to change, this I need board permission to do. You guys approve the one I just mentioned. The other thing in the DRB decision was that they want the towns and Renaud are responsible for the reclamation. So they are waiving the bond requirement for the towns, but they would like Renaud to post a bond equivalent to 30%, or 1/3 of the reclamation cost. I think rather than ask Mike to do that, what we could easily do is put in the lease that the towns are 100% responsible for the reclamation, and that Renault Gravel Inc. is responsible to the towns for 1/3 of the cost of it. So it's the result is the same. It puts all the responsibility for getting it done on the towns. The DRB has no problem with the town, that no doubt that the towns are going to follow through and reclaim, and that would eliminate the need for Mike to post a bond for the next 30 years. So that's what I'm proposing that we do.
guess that seems okay. He doesn't have to put up any money, but he or whoever he sells it to will be in writing that they're going to cover a third of the cost. So
It would
the
be
towns are covered.
would be similar, the language, and I'm sorry I don't have the lease with me, like the road costs, will be split 3 ways, and it would be like a 2-paragraph clause here where the reclamation clause reads now, Mike's name would be struck from that first paragraph saying who's responsible for the reclamation, and the second paragraph of that is the towns of Dummerston and the leaseor will, the towns of Dummerston, Putney, and the leaseor will divide the cost of reclamation 3 ways. So I think it's just removing the responsibility of the what am I trying to say? God,
Well, putting the money up front.
removing the payment from the responsibility of it, so that they can waive the bond.
Yes.
Just listening, what if they're not in business in 30 years?
So if who's not in business?
Or no?
Well, the lease goes with whoever buys it.
Well, what if he goes in bankruptcy? For some reason or other. I mean, I don't, you don't anticipate these things, but I mean, or you don't foresee these things, but, some construction companies are notorious for going out of business. Not all of them, but.
Yeah, it does, I mean, Paul makes a good point. It does leave the town absolutely liable for the reclamation. And I think I feel a little funny about that.
Yeah,
I'd like a little more time to think about it at least.
Yeah.
We don't need to decide tonight, or do we? Yeah. I think I'd like to mull that one over a little bit.
Would it?
My initial reaction was, oh, that doesn't. But thinking about it a little bit, I'm more inclined to go along with it. But having a little more discussion about it might be good with the full board.
Would it help to have Bob Fisher weigh in on how that might be expressed in language? I mean, he get his advice basically what he thinks of that idea, and see how he might express it in the lease.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I don't want to get into another Southern Vermont Learning Collaborative situation where.
Yeah, I mean, basically, Mike's still a private owner of the pit, and I understand not wanting to make him upfront that money.
Yeah.
But it always bothers me when the town gets made liable for the final reclamation in this issue, and then it's up to us to collect the third from Mike, if I'm...
Right. I'd like to be a nice guy, but I'm just worried that I'm not thinking of, well, how could this go sour? 30 years from now.
I'd like a little more time to think about
well,
it.
maybe we can,
unless we have to make a decision.
No,
tonight,
I'd like to, maybe if we can talk it through one step more. It may not be the way to go. I'm not going to over lobby for this. It's just an idea to see if we can simplify the thing. Is with all other shared costs in this, Mike will be paying in gravel. So to speak to the idea, if there was a bankruptcy involved, our current lease protects us on, we have a specific quantity of gravel that is owed us, and then that could perhaps, rather than perhaps what we could do is, rather than have him post a bond for X amount of money, which would be his share of it, to add X amount of money's worth of gravel to our number. And then we take full responsibility for the reclamation. And Mike's already paid. I mean, we take that gravel out over the course of the pit to earn our money back. So at the end of it all, whoever the gravel operator is, or even if it's a bankruptcy trustee, we've gotten our gravel out of it. So if that number that's in the contract of whatever, I don't recall it, say 250,000 yards, so say it becomes 280,000 yards of gravel is what we're getting.
That'd be a hard number to assess what the reclamation cost would be in 25 years or 30 years.
Well, it has to be estimated for the bond, though.
Yeah, right.
So,
But now we're going to I think we ought to talk about it a little more.
Okay.
Have time to think about it.
Discussion. This issue with...
So just one more point, though. Would it be wise to get, as Tom was saying, the attorney's point of view? I mean...
probably would be, since that's what I'm worried about, that we...
I just don't want to set us up for a cost that we can't foresee,
Yeah.
which would be pretty easy to do the way requirements change.
well, the reclamation happens as we go too, so it's not like when we're all done and suddenly
gotta
there's
do
this
it,
big
right,
mess to
yeah.
clean up. It's
Right,
going to
yeah.
be sort of
Sequential, yeah.
Yes.
and a little hard, and again, I'm thinking out loud, it might be a little hard to even determine what the cost is, because it will be sort of being done as we go, and it'll be the road crews doing it sometimes, Mike doing it other times, and what is the value of that? Maybe it would be better just to agree now on a way to do it. I don't think it's pressing. I really don't. We can ask Mike. Maybe he'll just say, "Well, I'll just post the bond. That'll be the easiest thing, and let's not worry about it." But the other issue of the liability, I think we need to get right on.
We need to address that quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will. All right. Well, let's just leave this one alone. Maybe when we've got the full board, we can talk about it again.
The issue of the fence, consulting the attorney over the fence, is that something?
No, I wasn't going to consult about the fence. That's something that Mike.
All right.
I haven't seen Mike really weigh in on yet, other than he was a little foggy about the requirement,
All
and Lou seemed not certain himself. He said they were intentionally vague about where it should go and how it should go. So it seemed to him that it should probably go on the southernmost extent of the pit area, so that it stays there once and for all. But again, that cuts Mike's land essentially
Right,
in
yeah.
half, and if it's going to be a security fence, can't have gates in it, so people who walk their dogs and all that are suddenly.
Yeah.
So there's definitely, it bears more discussion, but we don't have to do anything about that right now either.
So just so I know, are you going to follow up with Mike on his thoughts on that fence? Is that how we're okay?
Yeah.
And then get back to us. Okay.
Yes.
All
See,
right.
can I ask
Yes,
just one
yes.
question back to the fee structure for the Act 250 permit? So was it actually doubled, and is that what the town will have to pay, or are you grandfathered in?
We're not grandfathered in.
And so it's gone from 2,000 to...
I wish I'm afraid I came to this meeting
Okay.
very unprepared tonight. I have that information, I don't have it with me.
Okay, but it's a given that it's basically double,
It
probably at least.
is, yeah. In the wider scope of the project,
Yeah.
it's not really
Right.
an issue. I mean, it's a few $1,000s, which is always something, but it definitely doesn't change the.
And everyone's chipping in on that fee?
Oh yeah.
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 Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, is there anything under correspondence for information that you'd like to discuss? Have the treasurer's update. Letter from Better Back Roads about grant application process.
Oh, Zeke, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Can I back up?
Yes, of course.
The quote from Momini's on the correspondence, that's just something we're going to review during budget time? Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking it'd be nice if they got more than one quote, although I thought it was a good quote,
Yeah, I thought.
just so that they
Okay. So are you going to follow up and ask
Yeah,
them for
I'll-
Okay.
do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Was that put out for bid? Is that going to be?
It wasn't, when we were over there for a meeting back during the summer, Jean spoke about painting the exterior, and we suggested, well, she should get some quotes. And so this is the first one we've seen.
So,
They need to go out to bid. If it's gonna, I think if it's gonna be over a certain amount of money, like
Yep.
$5,000, I think it needs to go out to bid.
Okay. So, I guess we have to figure out to do that. We'll advertise and
Mhm.
do all that. Okay.
I think our initial thought was we wanted to get a general feeling for what it was gonna cost
Right.
before we went too far.
and is that coming out of community center money or town money?
I guess that was going to be left to the budget sessions.
Till budget time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But at least this would give us a ballpark figure to,
Because we just had part of our house painted, and we had some very good painters, and they were not expensive. So
Okay.
I just would like to
yeah,
throw that in. I gave Lori the card.
great, good. Okay, there's a wastewater permit for Ryan Road and Transportation Board public hearing in Brattleboro. That usually the junior member of the select board goes to. So, we move right along. Correspondence for discussion or action. There's the request from the delinquent tax collector to reimburse Dick and Harriet Burkess for the 2008 penalty and interest of $471.51. Did everyone see that?
Mm-hmm.
Would you enlighten the rest of us, please?
Yeah.
They had tried to fill out, I think, part of their taxes online, and they thought it had been submitted properly. I'm sorry Pam isn't here to explain it, but they thought it was submitted, and then thought everything was good, and when it wasn't apparently filled out, so they weren't credited for paying their taxes. My understanding is the first they were aware of a problem was when they got a delinquent tax notice from Pam.
Yeah, they filed online and the state had a glitch in the system and they weren't aware that the state didn't get their filing
So,
until they got their
They-
delinquent
they-
notice.
They filed to pay their property taxes on
No,
that?
it was
No,
the
for
homestead
homestead.
thing. And they got a message that said, you have successfully filed this, but there was two parts to it. It filed the one but not the other, and so their second tax payment, which was to be made by the state, was never made, unnoticed to
yes,
them.
and they took it to small claims court. They had spoken with Pam. Pam thought if they were successful in small claims, then her feeling was that the penalties should also be abated.
So who was the defendant in small claims
Yeah.
court?
The state.
The state
Yeah.
of Vermont.
They sued the
Department.
state and they won in small claims, won a judgment against the state for the,
Okay.
And
Okay.
so now they're looking to get that penalty,
erased.
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
There are some people who have strong opinions on this issue, but
They've already been expressed.
yes. So, do I have a motion for this?
I would move that we reimburse the Versuses their penalties and interest, or we ask, I guess Pam's just asking for our advice, not our
Yes.
permission, that we advise him to reimburse the penalties and interest.
I probably should recuse myself because I do a lot of work for them, which means I can't second it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they're friends of mine too. It's
It's
a
tough in a
town.
small
Yeah,
town.
I mean, I don't know.
Half of me wants to go along with it, but I'm thinking, oh
In a
boy.
small town with a
This,
small
maybe
board.
we ought to have the whole board.
Well, since this is
This is
not a binding thing, but
It basically would be a one-man vote. you know?
right, right.
It
This
is
is-
binding.
It is fine.
It is. Oh, I thought that she was just asking for advice.
No, she's asking your permission to
To-
reimburse
Right.
because she's appointed by the select board.
But doesn't the powers come with the appointment?
No,
She,
if you read Garrett
I think they do.
Baxter's
Right, yeah.
I
opinion,
would think so.
not according to Garrett Baxter
Right.
from DLCT,
Uh-huh.
he had a very strong opinion
that,
That
it
was
should be.
included in the packet.
All right.
that it's, okay.
Pam, my understanding is Pam is recommending, or
Pam is recommending
recommending
and
that-
requesting your permission.
yes. Well,
You know, I'll second it.
okay.
How can you, Steve, if you're recusing yourself?
I'll withdraw my recuse and go on Pam's recommendation.
Can I, as chair, make the second?
Well, you,
You're
actually,
still good.
you need to vote anyway, because you're,
Gotta
you
have three
need to have a
votes.
majority of the board, and you're a
Yeah,
majority of the
right.
board.
Right. Okay, so.
So we're all in, or we have to table it until next meeting?
Why don't we table it? I'll move we table it.
Well, I'll second that then.
Discussion. All right, we're tabling it until the meeting on the 31st.
For lack of a quorum.
Yeah, then that way I can recuse myself. Gail won't have to be upset with me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I
Well,
mean,
it's
it's hard. We've run into this a time or two
Yeah, I mean,
before. I mean, we all have
all
connections
have,
to
right.
people, and you know, the conflict of interest laws, you know, are pretty clear that not everything is conflict of interest. And certainly knowing somebody or working for somebody doesn't preclude you from
Well, if
working
you're
on their
working
business.
for somebody and you have a financial interest then, or getting compensation from them, that's almost automatic recusal.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one, I say almost automatic, but it's one of the grounds
Uh-huh.
that if you do receive compensation from somebody in that particular issue, that you really should recuse yourself.
Oh, on that particular
Yeah.
issue. Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
so
Yeah.
you're not working as a tax consultant.
Right,
for
exactly.
them.
Right.
So I think you.
I think it would just be up to me if I felt comfortable or not.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, it's.
We've tabled it, yep.
Well, maybe this will be less of an issue. How about the Green Mountain Mumbers? Can they dance on the town common?
Oh, those people again.
The 28th of October.
That was fun.
Yeah.
See you later.
Was that worth waiting for?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you.
I would move that we grant the Green Mountain Mummers permission to dance merrily on our green.
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Good, they've been doing that a long time, I guess. Okay. There was a notification from the Vermont Environmental Court of an appeal of a DRB decision. Want to do anything with that?
Do we have to have a representative that sits on that, Lori? A representative of the select board that sits on that?
I'm really not sure.
Okay.
This is the first time there has been an appeal since I've been here.
the DRB asked, Lou, it said he and Herb would like to speak to the board if we're going to make a decision on that, of what we're going to do. In fact, he asked if he should come tonight, and after talking to Lori, since there's no, I mean, that thing was just a notice, there's no hearing been called yet, or I told him we probably wouldn't be, so I just want to say, maybe we should just wait until the next meeting to discuss this at any length, because they did ask for permission to address the board on the issue before we made a decision.
Sure. Okay.
So what is our decision that we would be making?
Well, I think whether, we want to, I don't know, honestly, I don't even know what our options are. I think we can support.
We discussed this at the last
Yeah,
meeting,
you
didn't
don't
we?
have
If
to
we
get
were-
involved,
Right.
but that's a decision that we would not get
Okay.
involved, or we could get involved.
And we could get involved on one side or the other, or from a completely different point of view.
Yes, so if the DRB would like to come speak with us, then I suppose we should have is it pronounced
T-ball.
T-balls, come and give us their pitch also?
There's a good point. Do we have a copy of what they filed with the environmental court?
No. All we had is what I put in there, in the packet.
Just that notice from the
Mhm.
state, yeah.
We've had the DRB decision, we've seen that.
Right. And Yeah, so we should probably see what they're appealing. I mean, are they appealing all of it, part of it? And, because we don't really have anything to talk about till we know that, do we?
Yeah, and I guess I don't know why we would visit with either. I mean, it's a DRB
Yeah.
ruling and decision, and it's
Right, we can either,
in the
maybe we
court's
can
hands.
decide whether we're going to get involved, and then invite both these parties to,
I mean, they basically either followed zoning and what their ability is to do, or they didn't, I guess.
Well, I guess that's why, before I could make a decision whether we should get involved, I'd like to see what the appeal was. I mean, what are they appealing? Because again, I saw the decision and looking through it, there was a lot of items in there. There were a couple there that seemed questionable to me, honestly, that had they stepped out of their authority. But without seeing what the appeal is, then, you know, I don't know. And maybe they didn't, that's why I'd like to hear from Lou and Herb as well, see what they're basing it on.
So I can see if I can get a copy of that.
Yeah, it's available.
great. Green Mountain Camp has asked to use the town's bulk mailing stamp for their annual fund drive. We allowed this last year, I think.
We do. Yeah, I move we allow it again.
I'll second that, but for discussion, do we allow anybody that wants to use that, or what is our criteria for?
I
They
don't,
have to ask permission from the select board.
But anybody could ask permission? Any
It's usually a
organization?
nonprofit
Okay.
normally.
Yeah, we've done it for them, for
The library.
Library, right.
They use a Dummerston.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not unusual in the past.
okay, so motion is out there, it's been seconded, we've had a little discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So, do we have an update on the Ancient Roads project?
We didn't meet this evening. There's several committees working. Actually, Pam and Bill and I worked in here one day last week, I think, got quite a bit done.
Right.
It's a pretty good group.
You've
It's,
seen the photos, it was dark, the windows were dark, and
yeah, yeah,
you're laboring away in here.
yeah. And I think next meeting we've postponed because it's Halloween and we're meeting early already, so. But I know that our three has accomplished quite a bit, and I think some of the others have worked along some too, so.
Carol Bissette's in here every day.
Was she?
working on it
Okay,
very
yeah.
hard.
I would say it's a pretty dedicated group. We're gonna lose Chet Wendell here. I think he's headed to Florida this weekend, but.
Maybe you can get them to stay a little
Yeah.
longer.
No, I think it's going well.
Yes, it seems like you're making a lot of progress. We were thinking of, when you get done with this, rolling you over into a... So, moving on to new business.
Okay, unfinished.
Oh, unfinished business.
I don't know if this is the right time to ask,
Oh,
but
go ahead.
have you had any update on community center and library?
I know that the community center gave a proposal to the library trustees, and the library trustees are meeting tomorrow afternoon to vote on the proposal.
Does anybody know what that entails? What's
Pretty
in it?
much,
I mean, I've read it.
Okay, yes.
So-
Pretty much what Louis spoke about in the last meeting, where the windows, they would cover the cost of refurbishing the windows, and they would purchase window quilts. And that would cover the back portion of the payments, and then the proposal calls for them paying the current year's rent by the end of
$2,200.
January or something
years.
like that.
Yeah, it was in
Yeah,
the folder.
so
End
that's,
of June,
Yeah,
end
end
of
of
the
June.
fiscal year.
so that was the community center's proposal that they're floating to the
I
library
trust you all
trustees.
read my letter.
Yes.
Of course.
Okay. Because I won't stop. I did my age calculator. I'm gonna live to 101. So you poor guys.
Okay, I'm done.
Tom's living already.
You can never put that in the minutes.
Harold's only gonna live to 97.
I get 4 years apiece.
Oh dear, gonna make you laugh too.
So we won't know what the library trustees have to say.
Mhm.
We may not know, but they're going to at least meet tomorrow.
Yes. So
I don't know because David Patrick, I'm on the list for the library, so
Okay.
yeah, I got
Yeah.
a copy of it.
All right. Okay. New business. Mark Brown is up for reappointment as the Green Up Day coordinator.
I'll move we reappoint Mark Brown as the Green Up Day coordinator.
And I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And, let's see, you looked at the VLCT passive renewal form,
Mhm.
look all right to you?
It did. There was one item in there that you answered yes and no. It was about if the people posting the account also did the journal entries. Is that the right? Is that the one?
That was the one, yeah.
So is the yes and no like you yes, Pam no, or?
Well, know that I do some of them, but when it comes to like taxes, Pam collects the taxes because she's at that front desk, but then I post them.
Mm-hmm.
Since we have such a small office, there aren't a lot of checks and balances, but
Mhm.
fortunately we have very diligent auditors
Mm-hmm.
who check everything once a month. So that was as honestly as I could answer that.
Is that that's not a new question?
It
that?
is a very new question.
Oh, it
That
is?
whole section is new.
Oh, okay. So, well, I'll be interested. I mean, that's probably I can see it now that you explain it. It's probably the honest answer you could give. So,
Yeah. And I am going to a workshop next week in Dorset that's going to address just that. It's going to talk about internal controls and
Mhm.
so.
Okay, do we need a motion to approve that? No, that's just for information.
Right, and if you had any changes, that I could let them know.
All right.
Yes, no, maybe.
And
Yes, sometimes no.
let's see, everyone's got a copy of the budget schedule.
Yes.
So, letters are going to go out for budget request October 22nd. Yep. And then we'll get going on November 20th. We'll have our first budget work session.
I gave them an earlier deadline than last year,
Mhm.
because last year the deadline was after your initial review, so it just
Mhm.
didn't really make a whole lot of
Right.
sense.
Good. Okay.
Seems like a shorter season than usual, is it, or is it just?
I think you're
Yeah.
getting used to it.
Yeah, is that what it is? Yeah. Well, I forget there's meetings in between all these meetings too, so that's
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it looks fine to me. Looks like a budget season.
All right.
There's usually cookies, Steve, if
Oh.
it's any consolation, you know.
And coffee.
So, any other new business?
Just give a report. I went to the town fair up at the Champlain Valley Fairgrounds 2 weeks ago, I guess now. Great time. Good, really good show.
Just so our listeners at home just don't think you are riding around on a carousel.
Yeah, yeah.
You want to explain it just a little?
There were sessions that went on about every hour and a half. I went to one on ADA and how that affects our towns. I went on one on the rulings, the judiciary rulings in the state the last year relative to many factors, many things. That was really actually quite good. I actually went to one on roads, improving our roads, and I went to one on equipment, purchasing equipment, the new safety features, and actually got to drive a $200,000 dump truck, which was pretty nice. Not something one can afford, so it was a really good meeting. And then they have actually have probably, God, I don't know, they must have 75 vendors there maybe, of all different products for Lee and for town office and computers. And it was a pretty good show. Actually, pretty good.
I've never gone.
It's a long trip.
Yeah.
We actually, Maria and I went up the night before, just because it starts at 8:30 or something like that. So.
Thank you for
You
going.
know how to show a girl a good time.
Oh yeah. She got to go all the way to Swan and pick up sugar and stuff while I was sitting eating. But it was actually pretty good. I only knew one person there, which was a little disappointing, but it was actually very good. The judicial session, which they changed, it wasn't the one I thought I was going to, and they actually changed it at the last minute, and it was actually pretty good on some of the rulings that have transpired. Just makes you realize how what you think is common sense might not be.
Yeah.
So it was good, very good meeting. I'd recommend another year. I hope to go another year, and I recommend somebody else go too.
Mhm.
It's just a long ride. It's too bad it's all the way above Burlington.
Is it always there?
Yeah, it's been at Killington before.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember it
Yeah,
being
that would be a
closer.
little nicer,
I've
yeah.
never taken
But it was
advantage of
good. I mean, even the vendors were quite good. I mean, a lot of them were very interesting. So it's good day. And it rained that day, which was very helpful.
Yeah, I'm always makes it easier to go someplace. Do we need any executive session? Is there anything of a legal nature that we need to discuss, or?
We haven't gotten any correspondence back from the Learning Collaborative, as far as I know. So, no, I don't think we have anything new to discuss.
Well, there being no other
Wait,
business.
there's just one quick report.
You weren't fast enough. You weren't fast enough.
Just need to learn to talk faster.
Lou Sorensen and Matt Mann asked me to be on this aesthetic committee for the I-91 bridge, and we had our meeting today. Very interesting. There were 3 design build contractors there, Lane and a couple other big outfits. They all had 5 reps, and the committee was just there to, there was previous meetings who kind of laid out some of the criteria for design and, Gateway to Vermont, all this stuff. And it was very interesting. And these outfits are very excited about this project because it's kind of a first time that the state has let out a design build project that they're going to weigh the bids. Usually they're 70% cost versus 30% design. That's how they weigh the competitive bid. This time it's 50-50 because they really want to spend a little more money on the design. So all these design firms are very excited about making some kind of a landmark project. So it was interesting. They're going to go do their initial designs now, and I guess we'll meet again in January to look at what those are. So I'm not representing this board on there. I try and represent the towns best I can. But yeah, I think that project's in very competent hands right now.
Okay. There being no other business to come before this board, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And I'll take it.
Pretty fast.
Nine.
You did pretty well, Zeke.